Our project is focused on the attenuation of relay attacks on passive keyless entry systems. The problem: passive keyless entry systems, also known as PKES. To start, what is PKES? PKES allows convenience. With this system, the consumer can access their vehicle at the touch of a button. These actions include locking and unlocking the car doors, starting the engine, and opening the trunk. They can all be done remotely with no need to be within close vicinity of the vehicle to make all of these actions occur. It's fast, simple, and unfortunately, easily exploitable. What is the problem? Key fobs in vehicles lack proper security measures that would prevent the intrusion and exploitation of other existing keyless entry methods. As a result, it is possible to exploit the keyless entry mechanism, making car thefts more likely to occur. Referring back to what PKES is capable of doing, such as unlocking the doors to make these actions possible, key fobs are essentially tiny functional computers. For them to work, they must be wireless and use as little power as possible. This is needed in order for near instantaneous response time to be near instantaneous. This means that high-level encryption and complex protocols are not feasible to be implemented to protect them. How do we protect them? There is already a level of security installed as immobility detection on the vehicle, where the vehicle will not run without the key fob inside of it. This is not enough. The car was still broken into. Given the current state of automobile security, rather than adding security measures to the vehicle as a measure of protection after the breach, we should instead improve security on the key fob that can be exploited. We should add immobility detection to it instead, as proposed by James Ashworth and et al. In 2002. So why do we need to protect keyless entry vehicles? Well, the keyless system market is expected to grow from 1.25 billion in 2021 to 2.33 billion in 2026. That's almost double in 5 years. The implementation of keyless entry system in vehicles is only going to grow, and it will introduce more people to potential attacks and broaden the attack surfaces due to the insecure nature of the technology currently implemented. Without these preventative measures, we are leaving consumers at risk. So how do we know if the pre-existing controls aren't enough? Simple. A study in 2023 showed that out of the 567 vehicles tested, only 29 were not susceptible to relay attacks. A security company in the UK notes that of the stolen vehicles they recovered in 2019, 92% did so without the use of the owner's keys. These attacks can be performed with tools costing as little as $11 to steal vehicles worth 1,000 times more than the tools used to attack it. How do the thieves make this happen? The attackers use equipment to act as a repeater, which allows the key fob to communicate with the car. They essentially steal the communication between the key fob and the car and use that later on to perform the attack. It can be done fast, with the victims none the wiser that they were being eavesdropped on at all. James Ashworth's solution would prevent this attack from being possible in the first place because the key fob would be inactive. This will be detailed further in our proposed solution.
Today, I would like to discuss an innovative approach to enhancing the security of passive keyless entry systems against relay attacks. Our approach combines two powerful techniques. First, distance bounding, and then, second, immobility detection. These methods, when used together, provide a robust defense mechanism that outperforms many other proposed solutions. Let's start with distance bounding. This technique is based on the simple principle that the speed of light is constant. By measuring the time it takes for a signal to travel from the car to the key and back, we can calculate an upper limit for the distance between them. This effectively prevents relay attacks, where an attacker tricks the car into thinking the key is closer than it actually is. While distance bounding is still an experimental technique, its potential is immense. It provides a fundamental layer of security that is difficult for attackers to bypass. Next, we have immobility detection. This technique leverages the fact that many relay attacks occur when the key fob is stationary, such as when it's near the door at night. By incorporating an accelerometer into the key fob, we can detect when the key has been motionless for a certain period and put that key fob into a sleep mode. This effectively renders the key invisible to attackers, providing a powerful defense against relay attacks. Now, you might be wondering why combine these two techniques. The answer is simple: to cover each other's weaknesses. Distance bounding is highly effective, but it is still experimental and may not be ready for commercial implementation in the near future. On the other hand, immobility detection is already being implemented by car manufacturers, but it doesn't protect against all instances of relay attacks, such as when the key is in motion. By combining these two techniques, we can provide a robust defense mechanism that is effective in a wide range of scenarios. More importantly, the combination of distance bounding and immobility detection offers several additional advantages, such as its cost-effective nature. The reason being is that it doesn't require substantial changes to existing hardware or software. It is also simple to implement with a significant shorter development time than many other solutions. Furthermore, it's highly effective, providing a clear and measurable improvement in security. This innovative approach provides a robust, cost-effective, and practical solution that outperforms many other proposed defenses. The components we have chosen for this project are 2 Raspberry Pi, 2 RFM69HCW transceiver radio 915 MHz variant, and 2 ADXL345 triple axis accelerometer. Let's start with the Raspberry Pi. It is affordable, accessibility, and ease of use make it an ideal choice for our project. With 2 Raspberry Pi devices, we can simulate the car and the key fob, allowing us to develop our test system in a controlled environment and implementing complex protocols like distance bounding. Next, we have RFM69HCW transceiver radio. This is a compact, high power, and highly configurable transceiver module that is capable of transmitting and receiving data over long distances. Additionally, the RFM69 has pre-built libraries that provide a high-level interface and abstracts away the low-level details of the RFM69 HCW module, making it the perfect use case for this capstone. Finally, we have the ADXL345 triple axis accelerometer. This is a small, thin, low-power 3-axis accelerometer measuring at up to 16 Gs.
In this slide, you'll see our initial test setup where the Raspberry Pi is connected to a sub-gigahertz transmitter for the key fob and an accelerometer as well. And then for the car, we'll see a Raspberry Pi connected to a transmitter and receiver, and both will have code emulating the control unit and the door locks in the immobility detection system. And then we'll have the flipper 0 as the malicious actor test. And in this flowchart, you'll see our final test setup. So we kept everything mostly the same. The accelerometer has been changed to a different model, but it'll serve the same purpose. And we can see now that there's a transceiver being used instead of a single transmitter and a single receiver. That is for both the Pi car and the Pi key fob. And you'll also notice that the key fob is also able to transmit and receive signals instead of only transmitting. So why we made these changes? So the first change we made was the transmitters and receivers were changed to transceivers. So the main reason we did this is it was less components and it would be cheaper, more simple, and less power intensive, as transceivers can do both the job of a transmitter and a receiver, hence the name transceivers. And the other change we made was the key fob can transmit signals as well. And we did this so we can have more accurate distance bounding, and it will enable different additions in the future to be made as well. So this slide will show how we attach different modules to the Raspberry Pi. So we'll see for the Raspberry Pi to accelerometer chart, we'll see that we connected ground to ground, so pin 6 to ground, and we connected 3-volt power to VCC on the accelerometer, GPIO2 to SDA, and GPIO3 to SCL. And for the Raspberry Pi 2 transmitter, we'll connect 3-volt power to VIN, ground to ground, GPIO24 to G0, GPIO11 to SDK, GPIO9 to MOISO, GPIO10 to MOSI, GPIO8 to CS and GPIO 25 to reset. After following the wiring diagram, we ended up with something like this for the car Raspberry Pi and the key fob Raspberry Pi. In the top right, you'll see how we soldered on the pins to allow the use of wires.
To begin, we will be analyzing the key fob code. Within the key fob, there are four main important libraries: the time library, the board library, the bus IO library, and the threading library. These are common libraries that are often used with many Python programs: time used for regulating at the rate that we will be sending signals at, threading for creating separate threads, and board and bus IO to control hardware operations. In particular, we have RFM69 and Adafruit libraries, which are actually custom libraries created by the hardware manufacturer for the transceiver and the accelerometer, respectively. To begin, we have to cover the networking information. These constants are meant to regulate on what nodes there are, particularly the key fob in the car and the network ID. This information is important as kind of think about it as an IP address and communicating with another computer on a network. All information needs to be correct in order for the packet to be considered valid. With the I2C library and the I2C variable, what we need to do is we need to initialize the I2C bus in order for the accelerometer to work. After we have the accelerometer working with the ADXL345 library and or particularly function, we are able to enable the motion detection. We have a quick receive packet function that we use to test things in order to ensure that the transceiver is working. Moving on from there, we have the main component of the key fob code, which is the with radio section. In order to get this to work, we need to import all the information, such as the frequency, such as 915 megahertz, with which both of them need to run, key fob, network, which as mentioned previously are the nodes, and the network ID. And on top of that, we also have the pins as well, which need to be set as they are set on the hardware. The main part of this code that we need to focus on is the while true area. Using the accelerometer variable that we had created previously, whenever the accelerometer has an event, which in this case we're looking for a motion, and it returns true, that means that the accelerometer is moving, and the library will send back to this program that the accelerometer has detected movement. If movement is detected, then what will happen is the program will send the crafted packet to the car. However, if the motion is not detected, then the key fob will not send any packets at all, ensuring that we are creating the keyless entry. Next up, to cover the car code, we have two important libraries that we need to go through. We have the time one, which regulates the rate that packets are being sent and received at, in this case mainly receiving, and we have the RFM69 library, as this Raspberry Pi / the car does use the transceiver. However, you may notice that the Adafruit library is not being used as there is no accelerometer. As mentioned in the previous section, we need to get our networking information correct. In this case, car is 1 and key fob is 2, as was seen in the previous code, to ensure that they are networking with each other with the correct details. Within the car listener function, this is the main part of the program that we're looking at. Essentially, what happens is this car listener will run an infinite loop when called, and once it is complete, pretty much, or at least each cycle, it'll try to look for a packet, and it'll give it about 10 seconds time. If within 10 seconds it has not received a packet, the car will remain locked, as we are hoping, and if there is a packet that is sent and it's considered valid, what will happen is the car will be unlocked. All this runs through the main part of the program, where you can notice at the bottom there, if this is not being run in the main script, where we have a separate GUI instance of the car to show it as demonstration purposes, this code will not run, and this code will be reviewed over in the visual demonstrations.
Here you can see our 4 test cases. In the next 4 slides, you'll see a video demonstrating our success with each different test case. So in this test case, we'll show how if I have the key fob in my hand, I'm in range and it's in motion, it'll unlock the car. So now it's in motion and the car will unlock. And this information you can see here is when the car was unlocked, we can see who the receiver is, sender, the strength of the signal, and then the data, which is just ASCII, an ASCII unlock. In this test case, we'll be showing how if I'm not in motion and I'm out of range, that the car will not unlock. In this test case, we will show how if the car is here and the Raspberry Pi is in range but not in motion, that the car won't unlock. So the car will stay locked in this position. So in this test case, we'll show how if I'm out of range of the car Pi and this is in motion, it still won't unlock the car door. So this is in motion and the car will still remain locked.
As demonstrated in the previous videos, our project prototype was designed to prove that the combination of immobility detection and distance bounding in passive keyless entry systems offers substantial benefits that significantly enhance security and user experience. Based on our observations, by incorporating immobility detection, the system could discern between stationary key fobs and potential security threats, ensuring that the simulated car remained inaccessible when the key fob was not in motion. Simultaneously, the distance bounding feature established continuous communication between the key fob and the simulated car, enabling real-time monitoring of the proximity. All 4 test cases were successful and repeatable. In conclusion, this cooperative approach guarantees that access is granted only when the key fob is within the authorized range and in an awake state, theoretically thwarting unauthorized entry attempts such as relay attacks, distance hijacking, as well as other threats that are effective against each mechanism independently. Therefore, in this project, we have demonstrated that the synergy between these features instills greater confidence in the system's ability to prevent unauthorized access while also providing seamless and convenient access for authorized users, making it a robust and reliable solution for passive keyless entry systems of the future. Further exploration in the realm of immobility detection and distance bounding within passive keyless entry systems offers promising opportunities, particularly when considering advancements in artificial intelligence. On the software front, the integration of AI-driven anomaly detection algorithms could substantially enhance the accuracy of immobility detection, effectively discerning benign activity from potential attacks. Leveraging AI techniques to analyze intricate patterns in user behavior could enable the system to adapt and respond intelligently to emerging threats, and even tailor its detection to individual user profiles. In tandem with software innovations, a crucial facet is the development of secure and cost-efficient hardware components. If you have ever opened your key fob to replace a battery, you'll notice there is unused space, at least enough to fit the type and size of accelerometer we used in our project. However, these solutions cannot overcome tight margins or expected losses due to warranty claims for theft, or be manufactured or sourced simply and cheaply. Vehicle manufacturers may choose not to implement them at all. While leveraging Moore's law will help us wrap greater and greater computational power into smaller and smaller packages, hopefully future researchers and engineers can create a balance between heightened security and viable cost structures, ensuring that innovations translate effectively to real-world implementation and mass adoption. This could ultimately elevate the holistic security baseline of passive keyless entry systems of all kinds, not just for vehicles, but for medical devices such as pacemakers. While we were unable to dive into exploiting our own solution due to time constraints, we hope that in the future, other researchers and white-hat car hackers will come up with their own novel vulnerability testing approaches to see if our passive keyless entry solution will stand up to the common attacks that are being used on distance bounding and immobility detection separately. And finally, the next logical step is to partner with existing car manufacturers and integrate our solution with their proprietary technologies, transitioning from our proof of concept demonstration to physical implementation and rigorous in-house testing, leading the way for eventual market release. This concludes our capstone presentation. Thank you for watching.